Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I combine Microlocs. I'm going to be showing you guys step by step how we went from 272 Microlocs to approximately 71 medium-sized locks. Now, there are a few things that you would want to consider beforehand when grouping the Microlocs together. First, you want to make sure that you consider the desired size lock that your client is going for. The size of the base at the root is what's going to determine the size of that lock later on down the line once they mature. This is very important. This is called part to lock ratio. Because I know my client wants more on the medium size, not too big, not too small, I went ahead grouping about 3 or 4, sometimes maybe even 5, depending on how small those locks were in that area. Throughout this process, I used multiple crochet hooks. I used the single, double, and triple prong crochet hook, all of which are, I believe, 0.75 millimeters. And as you guys can see here, I am taking my time going through creating a little bit of frizz around those Microlocs and just working my way down the shaft, combining them. At this point in the process, the name of the game is get them together, group them. A lot of times people think that combining locks, they're going to look perfect the first day. That's usually the case when you're installing instant locks or something like that. When you're combining locks through the crochet method, it's okay to allow the maturing process to do some of that work. You don't have to do all of the work of the lock process yourself on that first day. Just like with any other method of installing locks, there's going to be a process, there's going to be a journey, there's going to be some sort of maturation process that's going to happen outside of you sitting in your stylist's chair. As you guys can see here, I'm not even halfway done with her hair, and this is well into day 2 of me combining her Microlocs. This is a very meticulous and tedious process, full of repetition. Once you get into your rhythm, it's fairly easy. I mean, honestly, at this point, I was breezing through. We were just chit-chatting, talking it up. My client brought my baby Cheetos, so here's a clip of him looking cute.
You see number Cheetos, like right there at the top.
And if you notice in these clips, as I'm moving on to the next lock, they don't look perfect. They don't look like they're completely conjoined. And that's just because, like I said before, a lot of this process is going to happen over time as the hair begins to grow, as it begins to frizz, it's going to mat, and it's going to lock. Essentially, what we're doing is just jump starting the process. Like, we're just basically, by crocheting, you're just the jumper cables. You're just jumping off the battery. The real, process is going to be you driving it yourself, your hair growing and doing its own thing, if that makes any sense. Another thing that would facilitate this process a lot is styling your hair, frequently palm rolling them, manipulating them by adding water, moisture. That encourages the frizz in the process along. Now, of course, too much of anything is bad, which is why I am not forcing the hair into a perfect lock right now, because it's just not realistic. This hair has been interlocked into sister locks over time, so it's going to take time for them to weave together and lock together and look uniform. Here you guys see me just trying to be careful about her preference about her parting. So you don't want to split someone's parting in two by grabbing a lock from over to the left side that should be over to the right, or vice versa. And so I just went ahead and made sure to plan ahead those locks along her desired part line. As you guys can see here, I had them kind of clipped off, sectioned off, so that they fall and lay the way that she wants them to. So basically, once I finished conjoining her entire head, grouping them all together, I went back over them and did some fine tuning with the single crochet needle, just to try to catch as many flyaways as I could, to try to get them as uniform as possible before sending her on her way. Like I said, the name of the game was just grouping them together, getting them to basically understand their new assignment, understand their new neighbor, their new household, if that makes any sense. Here you see the finished style of her hair. She wanted just a nice updo that she could wear to work and throughout the day-to-day, just without having to worry about them coming down or how she's gonna wear her hair styled or anything like that. The following weekend she came back for another style, and I decided to go ahead and touch them up again with that crochet needle, just to go ahead and catch some of those flyaways, help the process along as she wears her style throughout the next week. At this point, I am only doing crochet maintenance. I am not doing any type of palm rolling or anything like that at this point. And that's exactly what I mean by we were just facilitating that locking process, just kick-starting it so that it could begin to do its own thing on its own. When she came back the following week for her crochet maintenance and style update, I was very satisfied with the way that her hair has started to frizz and begin that lock and maturing process on its own. I am so obsessed. I want to chop your body. Looking closely at those there at the back, you can understand why it's important for the lock process to kind of do some of the filling in of the gaps on its own. Here you all see me starting her first official retwist. I am starting with some crochet maintenance, going over each lock, trying to grab some of those stragglers, those flyaways, some of that frizz, and use it to wrap around some of those areas that need to be filled in between the Microlocs. I am going over each individual lock the exact same way that I did when I first combined them and joined them together. At this point, the name of the game is repetition. Repeating this process over and over, it's what's going to make them look mature, uniform, and what's going to help that sister lock pattern start to go away over time. And at this point, we are starting to notice that some of her ends are already starting to look mature. They're already starting to kind of fuse those sister locks together, intertwine those hairs, and conjoin and become one. Some areas will start to lock faster than others for whatever reason. It's never going to be a one-size-fits-all situation with locks. Each lock is its own individual and will undergo its own process. Basically, what I'm describing is just the budding process. Basically, what you go through when you install comb coils. The locks bud in one place, and that bud travels, it shoots, and that's how the hair locks.
That's what I want.
You can see her right here. For here,
Yeah, but that's why a lot of them are, like, you can't really tell.
this is gonna be what we're looking for back here, but because those are interlocked so tightly, I can't really crochet and interlock that as much. So the natural process is gonna have to happen there. But here, that's exactly what it's gonna be like when once those finally fuse.
Yeah.
It will look like that. Yes, because then it'll be, you won't have to worry about them coming apart and coming down after that point. But once we gonna get that.
I believe it.
Here I wanted you guys to see how her new growth is already growing into this new size lock pattern. You can tell the hair is responding well because the hair is not growing away from the lock. Here you all can see that there is some separation still, but the way that the locks are growing and maturing is absolutely perfect. That frizz, that new growth, that's exactly what you want to see as you're witnessing locks that are combined mature. So with this being a full retwist service, we started with crochet maintenance, and after shampooing and conditioning the hair, we go in and we do a standard retwist. This standard retwist is what's going to help that maturing process. The water from the shampooing and also the palm rolling that goes on with the regular retwist is what's really going to help those conjoin and become mature. But in real time, you guys can see how careful I'm being about not compromising the integrity of those crocheted locks. You don't want to snag one of those individual sister locks and pull it away from the weft of the combined lock, because it will start that process all over again. So you want to be careful that you're not popping or breaking any hairs that shouldn't be separated. As I'm going through, I am palm rolling each lock, pinning it down, palm rolling the next one, pinning that one down, crocheting both of them, and then 2-strand twisting each lock together. See green light when I look at you. Last time I take picture with you. Now my cassava where you they look. Here you guys see me gathering the hair at the base, making sure that I keep that hair in that spot instead of combing it out. A lot of times you see people combing out people's new growth until it's straight for it to be twisted up and locked, which is kind of backwards. You want to leave that hair in the space where it grew from. You don't really want to comb it out, stretch it out. You just use that part to catch those scraggly hairs and group it together, and then you want to use the comb to twist, not to comb, not to actually comb, just to twist the hair around. And then you see me going in with a palm roll. It is important that you palm roll all the way down to the end and that you keep the tension. The tension is what's going to kind of keep that lock tight together so that it can begin that maturation process and know, like, okay, this is where I'm grouped with. After that, I am 2-strand twisting them together, making sure to twirl the locks between my fingers as I'm twisting it together. Although you want to be cautious of not applying too much tension, you do want some tension to hold these locks tight and together. I'm also very careful of how I place rubber bands at the end. You want to make sure that you're not chopping off the bottom of their locks, cutting off the circulation at the bottom of that lock. You want to make sure that it's pretty sturdy. You fold it up, maybe 1.5 centimeters from the bottom to make sure that it's a secure place to place that rubber band. And we carefully repeat the process until we are done. Now, combining locks and crocheting locks is not for the weak. This is not for everyone, I understand that, because it is a meticulous process. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes case by case understanding of the head in front of you. Everybody is not going to be the same. Everybody's hair is not going to be the same. Even though it's not a one size fits all kind of situation, usually you can gauge and understand what you're doing just by paying attention and being aware of the results of your actions, aware of the desired result of your client, aware of the way their hair would respond to any type of manipulation. It's not easy, but it is a simple process, meaning there isn't much to it but to do it. It's honestly one of those situations where it's kind of like less is more, but also more is less, because in some instances you would need to do more manipulation than usual. In some instances you may need to do less manipulation and just kind of let it do its thing. In this instance, it's just understanding the balance and where you need to fall. Some days I may believe that she's coming in for crochet maintenance, and she may come in and her hair may be so well along in the process that I may no longer need to use a crochet hook. I can just continue with palm rolling. But there's no way to tell that. The process is going to tell you what it needs, and you just have to be able to respond and listen appropriately. And here I'm showing you guys the difference in some of them. Some of them are completely conjoined. Some of them you can see holes right through them. But after I palm roll them and apply a bit of tension and twist them together, that's not going to be a reoccurring issue for long. That's going to begin to resolve itself. And that's something that the crochet hook can't always do. They look absolutely amazing after washing them. I know they're going to mature perfectly. I'm very excited to help see her through this next phase of her journey. Going from sister locks or Microlocs to medium or larger size locks is a big transition.
Yeah. Put everybody on us. Everybody just have to get everybody away.
And that's a wrap. Stay tuned for more, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you like this content.